Have you ever stopped to wonder why this simple piece of paper in your hand can command so much value? Why can it buy you food, build entire empires, or even start devastating wars? This is the unbelievable story of how a simple piece of paper became one of the most powerful forces in human history. Our journey begins over 1,000 years ago, deep in the heart of ancient China. During the bustling Tang Dynasty, merchants were the lifeblood of the empire. They traveled vast distances, across mountains and deserts, their caravans laden with goods. But they had a major problem. Their money was incredibly heavy. Imagine trying to carry thousands of metal coins, copper, silver, sometimes even gold, on a long and dangerous journey. It was cumbersome, inefficient, and made them easy targets for bandits. The weight of their wealth was literally weighing them down. Faced with this challenge, these clever merchants devised a revolutionary solution. They started leaving their heavy coins with a trusted third party, who in return would give them a paper certificate. This certificate was essentially an IOU, a written promise that the actual coins were stored safely and could be redeemed at any time. It wasn't real money just yet, but it was a groundbreaking concept. It was the very first spark of an idea that would ignite a global financial revolution. It was the birth of convenience, the beginning of trust on paper. Then, as the Tang Dynasty gave way to the Song Dynasty, the government saw the genius in this private system. They recognized its potential and decided to take control. This led to the creation of the world's first ever official, government-issued paper money, known as GOZ. Suddenly, money wasn't defined by the metal it was made from, but by the authority and trust of the state that issued it. For the first time in history, a government was telling its people that a piece of mulberry bark paper had the same value as a stack of heavy coins. It was a bold, almost audacious experiment, one built entirely on the concept of collective belief. The world had never seen anything like it. A few centuries later, a new power rose from the vast steppes of Asia, the Mongol Empire. Under the legendary Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, the Mongols forged one of the largest empires the world has ever known. And when Kublai Khan conquered China, he didn't just find a land of incredible wealth, he discovered the secret weapon that could help him control it all: paper money. He saw its power not just as a convenience, but as an incredible tool of centralized authority. The great Khan didn't just encourage the use of paper money, he commanded it. He established a system where his paper notes made from the bark of mulberry trees and stamped with his official seal were the only legal currency throughout his vast domains from the shores of China to the deserts of Persia, and he enforced this with an iron fist. Merchants from foreign lands had to trade their gold and silver for his paper notes upon entering the empire. And for the citizens living under his rule, refusing to accept the Khan's paper money wasn't just a financial disagreement, it was an act of treason, punishable by death. Under the formidable Mongol Empire, paper money transformed from a simple IOU into a symbol of absolute power. It was no longer just about trust. It was about command. While paper money was fueling empires in the East, Europe remained largely oblivious. It wasn't until explorers like Marco Polo returned from their long journeys that tales of this strange and wonderful invention began to circulate. Imagine Polo trying to explain it to a Venetian merchant, a land where people traded valuable goods not for gold or silver, but for pieces of paper. It must have sounded like a fairy tale. And for a long time, that's what Europe thought it was. They laughed at the idea, dismissing it as a bizarre Eastern curiosity. How could mere paper hold the same value as solid, glittering gold? But ideas have a way of resurfacing. Centuries passed, and Europe's own economies were growing, becoming more complex. The old system of heavy coins was becoming just as cumbersome as it had been in Tang Dynasty China. And so, the concept of paper money returned, this time to a more receptive audience. In 1661, the Bank of Stockholm in Sweden took a leap of faith and issued the first official banknotes in Europe. It was a rocky start, but the idea caught on. A few decades later, in 1694, the Bank of England followed suit, issuing its own notes. However, the Europeans added a crucial feature to build trust. These early notes were fully backed by precious metals. Every single piece of paper represented a specific amount of real gold or silver sitting in a bank vault. It was a promise, a guarantee that you could walk into the bank at any time and exchange your paper for cold, hard metal. This was trust with a golden safety net, a bridge between the old world of physical wealth and the new world of symbolic money. For centuries, this system, known as the gold standard, worked remarkably well. It provided stability and confidence. The value of a nation's currency was directly tied to its gold reserves. But the world was changing at an incredible pace. The Industrial Revolution sparked unprecedented economic growth. Global trade exploded. 2 devastating world wars required governments to spend astronomical sums of money. The problem was, the world's economy was growing much faster than its supply of gold. There simply wasn't enough gold in all the vaults on Earth to back the sheer amount of money needed to fuel this new global machine. Governments needed more flexibility to manage their economies, to print money to fund wars, or to stimulate growth during a recession. The gold standard had become a golden cage. And so, beginning in the 20th century, one by one, nations began to cut the cord. They abandoned the gold standard. This was a monumental shift in the history of money. Paper currency was no longer a claim check for gold. It became what we now call fiat currency. The word fiat comes from Latin, meaning "let it be done," or "it shall be." Fiat money has value simply because the government declares that it does, and because we, the people, collectively agree to accept it as such. It was no longer gold that held our economies together. It was pure, unadulterated faith. That brings us to today, to the modern age of money. Think about it. How much of your money do you actually see or touch? For most of us, it's very little. Trillions of dollars, euros, and yen flash across the globe every single second, moving between banks, businesses, and individuals. But the vast majority of this money is never printed, never held in a hand. It exists only as digital information, as ones and zeros flowing through fiber optic cables and buzzing on servers. Money has become largely invisible, an abstract stream of data that powers our global society. We use credit cards, mobile payment apps, and online banking without a second thought. But if you stop and look closer, you'll see that the fundamental principle hasn't changed since those first paper certificates in ancient China. Whether it's a mulberry bark note from the Song Dynasty, a gold-backed bill from the Bank of England, or a number on your smartphone screen, money has always been and continues to be a story we all agree to believe in. It's a massive, shared system of trust. From the merchants of the Silk Road to the algorithms of modern finance, the core idea remains exactly the same. So, the next time you hold a banknote in your hand, or tap your card to pay for a coffee, take a moment to appreciate what it really represents. It's not just a piece of paper or a piece of plastic. It's the culmination of a 1,000-year-old illusion. It's a shared dream that built cities, funded explorations, sparked innovations, and defined the course of human civilization. The incredible, shocking story of money is really the story of us. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey through history as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that explain our world. We'll see you in the next one.